going to be when the narcissist is faced with reality. Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So reality, this is not some place that narcissist lives in. They live in a fantasy land. They live in a land of manipulation, confusion, chaos, distrust, dishonesty, coming, going, wearing different masks, inauthenticity. The narcissist does not want to have to face reality, but guess what? That day is approaching, or perhaps it has actually arrived for these toxic people. And when the narcissist is faced with reality, it's something that they will not be able to control. Remember, the narcissist wants you to be able to be controlled. The narcissist needs and wants to be in control. But reality is something that the narcissist can't control for a long period of time. Now, what they can do is they can use the smear campaign, and they can paint the narrative however they want to, and they can paint reality however they want it to be painted, which is why they can go on so effortlessly to other new sources of supply, because they just paint the past however they want to, and you weren't around to defend or explain yourself, nor should you want to or have the urge to do so, because what you want to do is become small and get off the radar of the narcissist. But this is what the narcissist is always doing. They're always avoiding reality. They're always living in a tiny little fantasy world of theirs. They're always rewriting that tiny little Hollywood script that goes around and around and around in their little brain. And everybody is not only susceptible to fall victim to the targeted from the narcissist, and I don't use that word that often. Actually, can't believe I said it, but that's what happens. The narcissist looks to target people, and they want people around them that they can manipulate. They want people around them that will believe their own false reality, their own false narrative. Because if the narcissist can fool or hoodwink or trick or trap one person into believing their story or the false narrative or their version of reality, well, what happens? That person, usually without having the wisdom, without having acquired the narcissistic abusive cycle wisdom, that person will believe it. And what will they do? They will go to bat for the narcissist. They will protect the narcissist, and they will tell other people whatever the narcissist told them, and they will make that false version of reality essentially come true. I hope you follow that. That's why the narcissist has so many minions, so many enablers, so many people stuck and trapped in the narcissistic fog, because all of these people believe in the mask. They believe in the version of reality that the narcissist has told them, and they reinforce it, because what they do is every time these people, say they were fringe people when you were in the relationship with the narcissist, say some of these fringe people, the alleged wink high school friends of the narcissist, well, what would they do? They would come by and they would talk to the narcissist. Of course, you would be ignored or triangulated or just completely devalued in front of these people. But these people would be believing in the false narrative of what the narcissist told them years ago. And that pumps up the narcissist's fragile ego. It makes it become real to them. I sincerely hope you're following what I'm sharing with you. So if the narcissist can have people believing in whatever they told them from the past, the present, and the future, well, then that reality to the narcissist becomes essentially real. Now, yes, this is what the narcissist thinks. They think that they can will and or wish and or paint things into reality. Now, can they do that? To a degree, they actually can. Until when? Well, until you get the wisdom and you go no contact and you block these people, you delete them, you remove them and all flying monkeys and people associated with them, and that's when you begin to heal. But until that happens, you were believing in the false narrative of the narcissist. You were believing in their version of reality. So go back in time again. Maybe they told you that their first husband or spouse was an abuser, or they never took care of the kids, or they didn't do their job well, or they neglected people, whatever they wanted to paint. You see, they could paint whatever they wanted to play the victim, to get you to fall into that relationship, which would be the next level of relationships that they wanted to fall into with somebody, which turned out to be you. I hope you follow all these things. There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of layers of the onion to be peeled back. That was just one. But if the narcissist can paint a picture of the person who was in the relationship, or the people that were in relationships with them before they met you, you are extremely vulnerable. And usually, because you don't have the wisdom on narcissism, you would be believing what somebody told you. And we now know that not everybody's words match their actions, and we now know that many people lie. Many people want to take advantage of other people. Many people want to keep people trapped and stuck in that narcissistic fog, giving them more chances and chances and over again. And yes, I'm referring to the narcissist. This is what they want to do. It's what they were doing before they met you. It's what they did when they were with you, and it's what they're doing right now wherever they are off gallivanting the globe. But when the narcissist is faced with reality, that people are figuring out who they are, and that people are no longer believing what happened to husband or wife number one, husband or wife number two, husband or wife number three, etc. When people are starting to realize that the common denominator in all of the sob stories and all the pathetic nonsense that the narcissist was dishing out is the narcissist, that's when they're starting to get their own light bulb moments. Now, are they going to put two and two together the way you did and figure out and deduce what narcissism is? Possibly. I hope they would, but that's up to each and every individual to believe whatever they want to believe. But now, in this year, almost entering a new year, we now know specifically that most people on the planet have a hidden agenda. Most people don't have your best interest at heart. Most people are envious and jealous of you. Now, you may pause and say, well, Andrew, what are you talking about, most people? Isn't it just the narcissist? Well, not really. There are many people that, if you think about your immediate family members, were they happy for you when you got married? Were they happy for you when you graduated university? Were they happy for you when you got a great job or when you traveled all over the world? Maybe, maybe not. You need to take stock and take a good hard look at the people in your life or people that were a part of your life, because people are very self-serving. Now, not everybody is that way. I am an empath, a true empath. And yes, for those of you toxic people who don't believe that empathy exists, very simple. I'll dumb it down for you. If narcissism exists, empaths exist, and I am one. And if you're one, you know what I'm talking about. Empathy is real. Many people wish they had it. Many people want to take it from those of us that do have it. But all of us who are empaths, it can never be stolen from us. It can be abused and manipulated and twisted and turned against us, because that's what the narcissist does. But it can never be taken from us, because that's in our core. That's in our DNA. That is one of the things that makes us us, which is one of the reasons why the narcissist targeted us, because of our empathy and because of our belief in humanity and because we wanted to help people ascend and elevate and become better people. That's what the narcissist saw in us. They saw an opportunity. But again, if you're an empath, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, it doesn't mean that you're not a great person. What it means is maybe you don't have a high level of empathy. Maybe you have a high level of something else. We all have different skill sets. We all have different unique things that make us us. Our intelligence, our looks, our education, our languages we speak, our relationships. That's essentially what our fingerprint is. Our fingerprint is unique and exclusive to us, and it is a direct reflection and culmination of all of our life experiences that we've gone through till this point in time, right here, right now. That's what makes you you. And that's why the narcissist never wanted you to be you, because they wanted to steal your identity. They wanted you to lose your sense of self. They wanted you to become an extension of them. That's why they wanted an unpaid helper, the walking apology, the sounding board, the chauffeur, the butler, the maid, the cook, the cleaner, the person who spent all their money to the detriment of themselves, to the betterment of the narcissist. Now, all these things I'm sharing, when the narcissist is faced with reality, that's when people are no longer believing in the words that they had told them for the last 5, 10, 20, 25 years. That's when people begin to wise up. That's when people begin to realize that they too have been played, and they too have been lied to and manipulated, and they too are just as invaluable to the narcissist as you were. You see, everybody can fall into the narcissistic relationship, and most of us have gone through some form of a narcissistic relationship. Maybe it wasn't a toxic, draining, debilitating, firsthand living with the narcissist experience. Maybe it was just a teacher you had for one semester who didn't want to give you the A, even though you're the best student in the class and you've had straight A's, and if you got one more A, you'd be the valedictorian of the university, but they didn't want to give it to you. Why? Because they knew you deserved it. They knew that you were the best student in the whole university, but they had the power to not give it to you. So what did they do? They gave you a B, and you missed it by 1/100th of a point to be the valedictorian, even though everybody in the university knew that you should have had it. But there was that parasite, that toxic narcissist that entered your life for one semester, and they did not give you the A despite the fact that you needed it, because they knew that they could punish you for being an amazing human being. That's one micro example, and if it happened to you, my heart goes out to you. But teachers are just as narcissistic as anybody else can be. And if somebody has the authority, or they're in a position of authority to control what one other person what their life determines, or the trajectory of their life for a period of time, and they're toxic and they don't want that person's benefit, they will do whatever they can to impede that person's path. And that's just one example. Now, I'm not saying every teacher is a narcissist. I'm a teacher. I'm not a narcissist. I'm the furthest thing from that. And I'm a student as well. And just to let you know, I'm more of a student than a teacher, but each and every day I come out in the jungle, in the forest, in the wilderness, in the woods, and I create videos. Why? To pay it forward, to share my experiences, my insight, my wisdom, to realize that yes, in fact, the narcissist will be faced with reality. And the reality they're going to face is a grim reality. Again, I don't wish ill will upon anybody. I'm not a doom and gloomer. I've never wished ill will in the past, and I'm not going to start now. I will share this, though. You can't go through life blowing up people's relationships. You can't go through life stealing people's money. You can't go through life faking your way through it and knowing that you're going to get scot-free, that there's not going to be a price to pay. There will be a huge consequence to pay for each and every one of these narcissistic people. It may not be today, it may not be tonight, it may be today, maybe it's tomorrow. And it's not going to come at the hands of a human being. It will come at the hands from a power way higher than we are, way higher. And the narcissist knows this. That's why each and every day that they crawl around or slither around on the planet, they look to destroy people's lives because they want to make the most of the misery, the most of the discomfort, the most of the lies and the manipulation, confusion and chaos while they're still walking this planet because they know that they're in a dark space. They know that they won't get out and they enjoy blowing up people's lives. So when the narcissist is faced with reality, it will be so debilitating for them. Think about this. Let's say you married the narcissist and they were financially abusing you and they were not co-parenting, they were counter-parenting with you and your children. Well, eventually what happened? You wised up, you figured it out. Maybe you were discarded, maybe you weren't, maybe you ended it yourself, but either way, you had to get divorced. You had to get custody of the children. You had to split the assets. Of course, you were doing all the work and they weren't doing the work most likely. But the point being is, that took a lot for you to get untethered from that toxic person who at one point you fell in love with. That was the narcissist wearing the mask. But what happened? Well, when you finally broke the ties after a long, drained out, debilitating experience, i.e. meaning divorce, you finally got divorced. Well, that's a good thing. Then you got the assets divided, and they try to take you or rake you over the coals and take away more than they could, than they deserved. But my hope is you won that part also. But either way, you broke free from that. And then the custody. Let's say you got removed the custody and you have full custody as an example, or the best you could get. Well, what happens now? Well, the narcissist had the best thing they will ever have in you. And they know it, and I know it, and they will figure that out when they go try to replace you or try to find somebody even 1/100,000,000th as incredible as you are. They're not going to find that because you're a rare human being. You're beautiful, you're abundant, you're intelligent, you're full of fortitude, growth, empathy, yes, empathy, love, abundance, and commitment. And the narcissist saw that, and they try to extinguish that in you, and they try to keep you subservient to them. But the reality is, they did the best they could, but they couldn't knock you out for the count. That's why you broke the ties, that's why you broke the chains, that's why you became untethered to them from the emotional tie, the financial tie, the physical tie, and certainly the spiritual tie. If you haven't done that, you're doing it. But either way, you're working on yourself. What was the narcissist doing? They were simply abusing the system, working on ways to keep you stuck and trapped so you couldn't break free, so you couldn't elevate and ascend and fall in love again, or raise your children the proper way, or relocate, or create a new business, whatever you're going to do. But see, the narcissist is a parasite. They're looking for a host. And at one point, you were the host. Graphic example, but it's real. The narcissist will not find another host. Not even 1/1,000,000th as good as you. Now again, you're not a host. What you are to me, and I am the same, is a beautiful, bright, shining light. We elevated, we shine higher than the sun, the moon, and the stars, and the narcissist tried to steal our energy. They wanted to take our energy for the rest of our life, but guess what? They couldn't do it. They did take advantage of it, and they manipulated us and tricked us and trapped us for a period of time, which was the length of the relationship, but eventually we broke free. Again, if we were discarded, or if we entered it ourselves, either way, my heart goes out to you because you were in a toxic relationship. But now, as the clarity arrives and the fog has lifted and all of your energy and your resources are returning, you understand that getting away from these people, as far away from them as you possibly can, is the path. Going no contact is imperative. Limiting your exposure to toxicity and eventually removing it is the path. And understanding that healing is essential, and that not everybody heals from the narcissistic abusive cycle. You're a fortunate one. You should be grateful and proud of yourself because you're smart enough to figure it out. And not only to just figure it out, but to take the tools that are provided for you each and every day that I provide on these videos and in the channel and in the community, in the comments section specifically, and to get your cup full and to realize it wasn't just you. There are hundreds of millions of us who've gone through this, but not everyone gets the message. Not everyone is strong enough to make it. Not everyone puts themselves back together. But that's not you. You got the message. You got that needle in a haystack. You've had light bulb moments. You're understanding the definitions in the glossary and the terms in the narcissistic abusive cycle. Example, what is gaslighting? What is triangulation? My least favorite thing that these people use. What is the smear campaign? Financial abuse. What is projection? What is mirroring? All these things. What is gray rock? What are boundaries? What is no contact? What is blocking? All these things you're learning. And you never thought you would have to learn this, but remember, we, those of us who have healed or who are well on the healing path, we speak a different language than most people on the planet. It's a language where I can finish your sentence in a second. It's a language where I can listen to you for 30 seconds and have a great understanding of where you are in the healing path. It's a language that we did not sign up for. We were taught it by mutual experiences, similar experiences from the same dark energy source, which turned out to be the narcissist. Because the narcissist uses the same playbook over and over and over again. They're boring, they're dull, there's nothing to them, there's no substance, there's no core, and they know it, but they want to keep people trapped and believing in the mask. But eventually, what happens? That's right, eventually, the narcissist will be faced with reality. Because not only are you gone, and perhaps maybe you're relocated, or you're completely no contact, and you've blocked everybody, and you're healing, or you've healed, and you're living your best life now, but on top of that, the narcissist has to find a replacement. And for them to find a replacement in this day and age with the toxicity on social media, with the toxicity on dating apps, with the distrust and the mistrust of so many people, average everyday people around the planet, sorry, not picking doom and gloom, just saying the way it is, the narcissist will not be able to find what they used to be able to find. Now, is the narcissist fine-tuning their skills each and every day? Absolutely. Do they have a choice? No, they don't. But we, the empaths, the kind, loving, stable, healthy, beautiful people, we're getting stronger too. And guess what? We're growing in numbers. Play that again. I'll even say it again. We, the empaths, the beautiful, bright, shining lights, we are doing what? That's right. We are growing in numbers because we are getting our confidence. We are getting our worth. We know our value. We've been through the ringer. We've been through the cycle. We put ourselves back together bit by bit, piece by piece, minute by minute at times. And we've dusted ourselves off and picked ourselves up by the bootstraps. And we've healed. We've ascended. We've elevated. We've changed. We are now entering or have entered the third version of us, the strongest, most galvanized version of us known to humankind. This is what I call rarefied air. Not everyone gets there. You either are there or you're on your way to getting there. That's why you need to continue to focus on yourself. You need to become small, get off the radar of the narcissist, and continue to focus on you because you are the priority. You come first, second, and third. And that's why boundaries are imperative. That's why saying no, the strongest word in the English language, is imperative. And that's why not giving these toxic people another chance is a must. Because they're banking, or they were banking on you breaking down again and feeling sorry for them, or unblocking them, or just loaning them a couple more dollars, or just come up and stay for a few days, which turns into a month, and here we go backwards all over again. That's why leave these people in the past. Let them fend for themselves. Let them try to find a replacement, and hope to God that they find somebody who's smart enough to figure it out quicker than we did, that can discard the narcissist or end it before the narcissist can sink their dirty fangs into them. You see, I wish narcissism would be eradicated. I sincerely wish it would not exist on this planet, but until it is eradicated, it will exist. That's why we need to protect ourselves. That's why we need to get our cup full. That's why you should continue to come back to the channel to get the wisdom, to apply the tools, and to understand what's going on. Get a refresher now and again. Play the videos, play them a few times, save them, watch them, remember them, remind yourself of where you were, where you are, and where you're going. These are all things that the narcissist never wanted you to do. They didn't want you to see behind the mask. They didn't want you to heal, and they definitely didn't want you to live your best life. But when the narcissist is faced with reality, this will be a grim reality for them. Think about this. Every night the narcissist has to go to bed. They have to put their head on the pillow, if that's where they're sleeping, or maybe it's on the ground or in someone's basement or somewhere else. And they have to actually say, wow, what did I do today? Did I do anything great to help the planet out? No, again, I did nothing to benefit the planet, but what did I do? Oh, that's right, I blew up that relationship. Oh, that's right, I stole that money. Oh, that's right, I have 3 new people on the hook on this dating app. Oh, that's right, I have another roof over my head for another month or so because I played the victim card, and this person who actually is in love with me. He's giving me another place to stay, and I'll just string them along, and they'll feed me and clothe me and put a roof over my head, and I'll probably get a couple grand out of them, and then I'll kick them to the curb, and where will I go? Well, probably go to one of those 3 people's places I'm grooming. And you know what? Those people will pay for my life too. This is what the narcissist thinks. They don't think about togetherness, abundance, appreciation, respect, love, honesty, empathy. What they think of is how to take, and when they're done, what do they want to do? That's right, they want to take more. You see, the narcissist has an insatiable quench or quest, whatever you want to call it, for supply. And what is supply to the narcissist? It's anything from money to relationships to pets to clothes to travel to beach homes to skiing events. It's to anything that tops up their cup. That's why the narcissist will go any which way the wind blows. That's why when you would make plans with them, they would break them in a second. Why? Because they could, and they would get 2 for 1 there. One, they would break your heart or ruin your night for something you were looking forward to do, but also they would go spend time with the new supplier, do something else. And so they get the best of both worlds, watching your life implode and setting up a new person only to implode their life at a later date. This is what these people do. It's what they've been doing since they started off on the planet. It's what they're doing right now, and it's what they'll be doing as long as they're existing. But you see, when the narcissist is faced with reality, it won't go good for them. It won't be good for them. It's going to be a big dose of, they can't control certain things. And that's when the court system drops the gavel and says divorce. That's when the court system drops the gavel and says, you lose, narcissist. That's when the court system says, guess what? No custody for you because you're a parasite. You haven't worked in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. You can't even raise your children properly, so you're not going to get any custody, etc. But see, this is happening. Now, does it happen all at once? No, it doesn't. But the narcissist's life, it implodes and it goes sideways way more than you will ever know. The thing is, they never wanted you to know that their life went sideways. But you can always tell when something was going wrong with the narcissist when you're in the relationship. Because why? Because either A, they were super happy and excited, whatever happy means to them, but they were overjoyed and they were overacting or overreacting to something because they probably just took advantage of someone. They topped themselves up with supply. Or if they didn't get what they wanted that day, they would punish you, give you the silent treatment, slam doors, or complain about something because they didn't get what they wanted. Remember, to everything, to the narcissist, everything is black or white, good or bad. It's either super high or super low. There's no commonality. There's no sustainability. There's no average every day in the narcissist's life. It's either super high or super low, and that's why they paint people black or white. That's what they do. So when the narcissist is faced with reality, it will be something they're not going to be able to handle. And it's happened over and over and over again. That's why the narcissist gets injuries, which I don't talk about in the channel that often, which is a narcissistic injury. That's why the narcissist needs to give themselves timeouts and disappear for a couple hours or maybe a couple days to recharge the battery, but they don't want anybody around. That's why the narcissist hides behind their keyboard. That's why they hide behind dating apps and fraudulent or phony profiles. That's why the narcissist can't change, they can't introspect, they can't grow, they can't be accountable. That's why these people are sinking ships and ticking time bombs. And remember, Father Time moves along for all of us. Every single one of us, Father Time's, that clock is ticking. And nobody's guaranteed to be here tomorrow, not one of us. That's why you need to really get the message and go no contact and leave these people in the past. If not now, when? But what will happen with the narcissist before I close the video? They will get a big dose of reality. When they're faced with reality and it's something they can't control, please play this a few times. That's when the game's over. They painted themselves in the corner and it's checkmate. They just reverse discarded themselves. They didn't have someone do it for them. They've done such a nasty job with everybody on the planet that there's nowhere else to turn to. And that's when reality will kick these people right in the you-know-where. And this happens way more frequently than you think until what happens? Well, until they can fool somebody else and manipulate a new person. And then the cycle goes on again. You see, the cycle just goes around in a loop. It's love bomb / euphoric stage, victimhood, claiming that they got taken advantage of, whatever you want to say. Then it's devaluation stage, once they know that they have their hooks sunken into somebody. And once they get whatever they want from that person, then it's the ending of the relationship. And then at times there's a Hoover, but I'm not talking about the Hoover today. And then the cycle goes around again and again and again. Think about it. That's why you need to get out of these things. That's why you need to heal. And that's why you need to go no contact. Because when the narcissist is faced with reality of all the destruction they've implemented and or dished out throughout their life, it will not be a good thing to be anywhere around them at all. That's why you really need to insulate yourself and protect yourself. Everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the absolutely beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning, no matter where you are on the planet. You are not alone. Remember that. You are not alone. I love you all. God bless you. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. And I hope you like the location. There could have been a hawk in the background. I didn't see one, but I hear one flying around. So I hope you guys enjoying it. This weather is absolutely amazing. Wherever you are on the planet, remember, you are amazing. You're beautiful. You're loved. You're appreciated. You're respected. You are needed. And above all, you, and I mean you are not alone. You may think you're alone, and you may be in an apartment or a house or a car or at work listening to this, and maybe you're going through challenging times. I get it. I was there. Believe me, I was there for 2 years and 2 days, isolated and trapped in my own house during one of the most difficult periods of time known to humanity. But the point is, I made it. I focused on myself each and every day. I did pick myself up. I did have sleepless nights. I did cry. I lost weight. I gained weight. I couldn't turn a light switch on at one point, but guess what? Every single day, I knew there was light at the end of the tunnel. Every single day I woke up, and every single day I focused on myself, and I processed so many things. So if you're experiencing a challenging time right now, realize tomorrow the sun will rise. Tomorrow is a new day. The day after that, and the day after that, and the day after that. Continue on the path moving forward each and every day. Do not quit. Don't ever quit. Do not stop. Do not ever stop. Continue to believe in yourself the way I believe in you, and continue to know that you are an amazing human being. You are valuable. You're precious. You're loved, and you are respected. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
Hello everyone, and you're very welcome to our channel NarcCon with myself and Remy. Today we're going to look at the fact that the narcissist doesn't love their children. So we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of this and explain exactly why that I would come to such a conclusion. The main one is that narcissists in general, if they're totally narcissistic personality disordered, are incapable of empathy and therefore incapable of love. So they're not going to just switch that facility on that they don't practice for a certain person or for children. So there's never, like sometimes we think when the narcissist goes off and they remain with a partner, we think, oh, they must love that person and they finally found the one. That's not so. It's just about what they can get from that person, how emotionally regulated they are, how much in control they are, and what the other options actually aren't. So we're going to go through about 10 points here, and just before I get into the video, YouTube have, I wasn't aware of it, but I am now, they've offered channels this community setting where members of our community can actually chat with each other, which is a fantastic feature. So you can actually, make friends with someone who's in a similar situation, maybe to yourself or whatever, and support other members of the community. So we can come together, and I'm going to hop in and out as well and try and put some photographs in and things like that, just to be more present with you. In any case, go join us if you want to. I think the only criteria is that you have been a subscriber for a one week period, and then you're able to make posts yourself and actually share photos as well if you so wish. So please feel free to use that feature, and I'd love to see some interaction there and get to know you even better than we already know each other. So, the narcissist doesn't love their children. I've made extensive notes here, so forgive me if I look down every now and again. Okay, well, some narcissists, it's really obvious that they don't give a flying fig about their children because they abandon them, they disappear on them altogether, and these are the particular narcissists that aren't concerned about their image in the community, and they don't use the modus operandi of good parent, great guy, great gal so much. So they generally move away from the children, don't have anything to do with the children, and then will tell tall tales to the next partner, that their ex doesn't allow them to see the children, and basically that kind of manure stuff. That's the best way I can describe it. So what I would like to address here is the narcissists that appear to adore their children. They appear to be with their children a lot. They appear to go to sports events or be at academic, celebrations, do whatever it takes to present an image of the fantastic parent. And sometimes when we're getting into relationships, intimate relationships with narcissists, we can have all the other criteria for the person being a narcissist ticked off on our list. The devaluation, the gaslighting, the isolation, all of these things. Yet, and I personally also found this very confusing, the narcissist seems to love their children. And this gaslights us into thinking, gosh, they're so loving to their children. They must be capable of love, and it must just be me that they don't love or that's unlovable. So again, let me know if that's happened to you. Definitely confused the heck out of me initially. So, why am I saying this? What proof do I have that narcissists don't love their children? I have a list here of things narcissists do in relation to their children that I consider to be highly unloving, in fact the exact opposite. Again, disagree if you don't agree, disagree and say why. But this is what I've seen as a pattern of the good guy, good gal, good parent narcissist, communal narcissist, narcissist that needs to be the family person, and narcissist that needs to appear to be stable, respectable, and just one of the great guys and gals, basically. They don't, narcissists, allow their chosen children to individualize. And what that actually essentially means is when the child gets to an age, I think it's between 5 and 7, when we should be encouraging them to offer up their own opinion, to say what they like to do, to become the individual that they truly are, their true self, their little soul inside wants to develop into personality-wise, the narcissist says, no, 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 no. You are an extension of me, and me is the only one that's important. So you need me. And they literally groom this into the child's head, that the child shouldn't, everything is fearful. The child mustn't make any decisions without going to the narcissistic parent. It's like a smothering type of influence. The narcissist tells the child what they like. The narcissist tells the child what the child likes, what the child should do, who the child should play with and shouldn't play with. And I know some of these will come into like healthy guidance, but with the narcissist, it's all, you need me. Come to mummy, come to daddy, don't do anything yourself without asking me. I'll tell you what to do. And they make the child extremely dependent on them. So in relation to the child, say if you want to give the child a bit of independence and you're in a store and the child is just old enough, is just going to school or whatever, or even beforehand, you say to the child, if they want that with their pocket money, go and look at that, what have you got with your pocket money? And then you go and pay the cashier, and obviously you stand behind the child or whatever you do, you're not just saying you go pay the cashier and run off to the other side of the store. I think you get the drift. You're encouraging the child's confidence within themselves so they can self-individualize. No, 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 the narcissist will not allow that, and the child has to come to mummy or daddy for everything. This serves to keep the narcissist in control of the child and get the child to do their bidding, literally as an extra arm of the narcissist, as an extension of the narcissist. The narcissist feels ownership because they feel their DNA made the child, therefore the child is them. It's just an extension, a wonderful extension of an extra way to get narcissistic supply. Not thinking of the child and the child's welfare at all, not loving the child. And this leads into there to serve the narcissist's needs. The child is an extra extension. And by reflection, when the child does well, this is to reflect on the narcissist, and the narcissist, will say, even at the sidelines of a football match, yeah, they're doing great, oh yeah, they're very talented, I played football myself, or yeah, I guess, it's come through in the genes, or whatever. So the narcissist is getting the reflected glory of the child. However, should the child not perform well for the narcissist and reflect well on them, the child will be berated and bullied and told they are such a letdown to the narcissist. And this could even be that they get 90% out of 100 in their grade instead of getting 99%. This is the pressure that these children are under in relation to the narcissist, serving the narcissist's needs, and the child needs to reflect well on the narcissist. Another, what I think is awful, and I've seen this, I've actually witnessed this, and I was shocked. And I could see then how little narcissists are made. Hopefully, even with this narcissistic parent, some of the children will have enough other influence to make their own way in life and decide, reject the parent essentially. And that will often cause the rebel reaction in the child. And it's also an imbalance. It's an imbalance when you go out and make a lot of mistakes in life because you're rebelling instead of developing yourself. However, this is what I've seen. The narcissist will praise the child for bad behaviour towards others. And this is a real hoo-hoo moment for people when they see this adult, praising the child for, say, another little child who's less able, fell down or left their money somewhere or whatever, but the narcissist says, well, that's on them, that's their fault. When the child goes to say, can I help them, or their money's here, I'll go and run after them, the narcissist says, or the child looks to pocket the money, the narcissist says, well, they're bad. That'll teach them not to leave their money lying around. What do they expect? Good on you, they say to little Johnny or little Jane, and teach a very warped moral code to the child. That's not love. That's going to get the child into a lot of distress and possibly punishment later on in life. It's really not helping, the child fit into society in any way. It's actually making them an outcast by that type of behaviour and perpetuating it. Okay, this is a disgusting one. I really think this is so cruel. The narcissist will pick a child if there's multiple children in the family and will pick that child out to be the golden child. So basically the narcissist reflects on the child, sees the child as either good looking or talented or both, and decides that child is worthy of me as a parent. That child then becomes the mainstay of the narcissist in relation to getting their additional narcissistic supply from the community. So that child, generally up to a certain age, it can go into adulthood, but oftentimes the narcissist will have total control over the golden child and will have the golden child extremely well versed in how to do things for the narcissist and to reflect glory in the narcissist. That child gets to the teenage stage and the child starts to rebel or not want to be around the narcissist as much when the friends and the peer group become more important. If the child has been able to self-individualize in any way, shape or form, maybe with the input of the healthier parent or extended family like grandparents or school or whatever. The narcissist will then, once the child seems to rebel or not be under control, the narcissist will totally reject that child as being a dud, as being, give the child the silent treatment, not favour the child any longer, put the child in the naughty corner continually, and will choose an alternative child to make into the golden child. And the former golden child becomes the scapegoat and the narcissist has no time for that child. And then, when that former golden child gets into trouble or difficulty because they haven't learned how to be independent, they've learned bad traits and behaviour from the narcissist will not help them. The narcissist says basically, I told you what to do, you didn't do it, now you can put up with the consequences. The only way I'm having you back, basically, is if you apologise for everything you've done and come back under my control and do everything I say. That's the only way you're getting any help from me or getting back in my good graces. I'm betting this sounds familiar to people that have had narcissistic parents or have co-parented with this type of individual. That's not love. That's not love. That's using a child as an object of gratification for the narcissistic parent. And number 4, I think I have down here, the child is used for triangulation purposes with the other parent. So essentially, if the two parents are together and the narcissist is trying to reign supreme in the family unit, the child of the two parents will be triangulated with the mother or the father, and the narcissist will try and control the other parent by not treating the child well if the other parent doesn't comply, or threatening to take the child away from the other parent. That again is objectifying a human being in order to control another human being that loves them deeply. And that's a very difficult situation to be in, because obviously the healthier parent loves the child and doesn't want the child to come to any harm. So that needs to be dealt with lawyers and divorce and separation in as much as possible. And you will find in this situation people staying in relationships with narcissists to protect their children. So that's one up for discussion. There's a lot of pros and cons to both scenarios, whether you leave or whether you stay. Number 5, we've kind of touched on this already. The child is used as a mask enhancer for the narcissist. So the narcissist looks like the wonderful parent. I mean, they seem so obsessed with the child and what the child does and what the child says, what other people say about their child. And they'll often go down, if they hear something about so-and-so said something about their child, they'll go down knocking on that person's door, creating a big drama about, your child said this about my child. And you have all of this crapology going on with the children's relationships, totally trampled over. They are of no consequence. The little children's relationships with each other, they can be ruined by this big barging bully narcissist who wants to get their way because the child is an extension of them. They cared not a jot for the child other than their reputational damage. Because you criticize my child, you criticize me. And I know that goes into the healthy dynamic as well. But with the narcissist, it's not handled with any sensitivity. It's just, this is all about me because I own the child. Nothing to do with how it might affect the child because you love the child and you're protecting the child, so you want to do the best for the child, and you speak to the child about it and you come to a joint decision, or you talk reasonably to the person who has an issue with your child. I think you get the picture. But this is too juicy a drama for the narcissist to pass up. I think
totally wrong to think a narcissist is double-faced. They do not just carry 2 faces. They carry many, they're a shapeshifter by nature. They become whoever they need to become to get what they want. That is why their personality looks confusing to outsiders and soul crushing to you, to the person who lives with them 24/7. There are subtleties in their nature, nuances that most people do not talk about directly, because they switch identities based on who is watching them, who the witness is, and the control they want to keep. That is what we will talk about today. I'm Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. Welcome to my channel. Today's topic is interesting. 3 demonic faces of a narcissist completely exposed. Before starting with phase number 1, a quick reminder, I am closing doors to my Thrive After Narcissistic Abuse membership community very soon. If you want in, and if you want me, my team, and other people support you in your thriving journey, right now is the chance for you to get in. Link is in the description. Phase 1, the phase for the enablers in the family of origin. This is the performance inside the original nest. The family who raised them is the first stage they ever learned to act on. In this context, their face looks loyal, gentle, patient, and selfless. They switch to dutiful without effort, especially if we are looking at a male narcissist. He becomes the son every mother dreams of, the brother who shows up, the relative who carries the heavy bags and pays the bill with a smile. It's the costume that fits like skin, because he has worn it for many years. Watch how he places his mother first in every story. He makes her needs the headline and your needs a small footnote. He consults her on decisions that involve your home, time, and your body, then tells you he is only being respectful. He praises her sacrifices at every gathering. He brings her gifts on ordinary days, takes her side before you finish a sentence. If she hints that you're too sensitive, he nods as if someone finally said something really true. Now, it doesn't always have to be a mother, it can be a father, which is what was the case in my father's case. Now, notice how he manages his sisters. He calls them my girls. He defends them when they are wrong. He openly criticizes you for any boundary you set with them. If you ask for space, he calls it selfish. If they gossip about you, he calls it harmless. He becomes their protector so that they become his loyal audience. Every favor becomes a string. Every string becomes a rope. Brothers, they become mirrors and wingmen. Some play the golden child who confirms that your partner is a stable one. Some play the fixer who tells you he's under stress, he's a good man at heart. Then asks you to be patient for the 100th time. They run interference. If there is a family WhatsApp group, they spin narratives there while you. And losses you notice right away when you are with a narcissist. The way they insult you, the way they control. And losses you notice right away when you are with a narcissist. The way they insult you, the way they control you, the way they chip away at your confidence, those are all visible. But then there are losses so slow, so hidden, so subtle, so deeply corrosive that you do not even realize they're happening until it's too late. They creep into your life suddenly, almost invisibly, and by the time you wake up to what has been stolen from you, a major part of your life has already passed. That is when the hopelessness hits, when you sit down in your 40s and 50s or even later and recognize the time you cannot get back. The opportunity is gone forever, the innocence taken away, and the growth that never came. And that is what I want to talk about today. I am Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional. Welcome to my channel. The topic is 5 delays narcissists create that you only realize in your 40s and 50s. Number 1, the growing up delay. The very first delay you experience, though you do not know it at the time, is the delay of growing up. What do I mean by that? Growing up is not just about getting older. It's about emotional maturity. It's about facing challenges, making mistakes, learning, adapting, and slowly building an identity of your own. It is about the natural unfolding of life where you get to make decisions, fall on your face, and then stand back up. That is what life gives to most people in their teens and 20s. But when you meet a narcissist really, really young, you do not get that chance. Your whole life becomes about adapting to them. Instead of maturing through your own choices, you are maturing through fear. Instead of learning how to trust yourself, you're learning how to walk on eggshells. Instead of developing an identity, you are developing coping mechanisms. And unfortunately, you do not even notice it because when you are young, you think this is normal. You think every relationship is just like this. You think love is supposed to feel like survival. So years pass by and you keep on adapting, shape shifting, contorting yourself and trying not to upset them. Before you know though, your 30s are gone, your 40s begin, and suddenly you look back and realize you never grew up. You never had the chance to grow into who you were supposed to become. Your personality is not truly yours. It is a survival costume stitched together from fears, punishments, and coping skills. This is why people in their 40s sometimes sit in their therapy crying, saying, I do not know who I am, because they literally never got to become themselves. And the consequence of this delay is massive, unfortunately. You enter middle age still carrying the emotional immaturity of someone much younger. Decisions feel impossible, independence feels foreign. You may even feel like a child in an adult body because you were never allowed to take the natural risks of life that help people mature. That is the first and the most devastating delay. Now, the second one, the knowing yourself delay. Life is supposed to be experiential. You are supposed to try things, fail, succeed, travel, explore hobbies, fall in love, fall out of love, change careers, meet different people, right? All of those experiences teach you who you are. They teach you your likes and dislikes, your values, boundaries, and your desires. That's how people get to know themselves. But when you are with a narcissist, you never get to go on that journey, do you? Because the only person you are allowed to know is them. You spend your entire life studying their moods, their likes, dislikes, triggers, and their needs. You know exactly what makes them happy and what makes them explode. You know when they want silence and when they want attention. You know how to read the room when they walk in because your life literally depends on it. But ask yourself, in all those years, how much did you learn about yourself? What did you discover about your hobbies, your passions, your deepest values? Nothing. Because all you were doing was surviving them, was it not? The consequence of this delay is that when you finally escape, you look in the mirror and you do not even recognize yourself anymore. You do not know what you like to eat without being criticized. You do not know what kind of music you love without someone rolling their eyes. You do not even know what kind of partner you would want because your entire definition of love was filtered through abuse. This is why a lot of survivors sometimes feel lost after leaving. Why? Because they realize they never got to meet themselves. And that loss is profound. Number three, the health delay. If there is one area where the narcissist leaves a permanent scar, unfortunately, it's your health. Because long term exposure to toxic stress is like erosion on metal. At first, it seems small, a little anxiety here, a little insomnia there, but over years it becomes like rust eating you from the inside out. Toxic stress is not just emotional, it's physical. Your body is designed to handle stress in bursts, but not live inside it day and night. With a narcissist, though, that is exactly what happens. Your nervous system is always on alert. Your cortisol is high and dysregulated. Your body is always waiting for the next punishment, the next explosion, and the next unpredictable attack. And slowly, that constant tension begins to destroy you. Migraines, stomach issues, autoimmune conditions, heart problems, hormonal imbalances, panic attacks, you name it. Survivors of narcissistic abuse carry it. Why? Because the human body cannot sustain years of that stress without breaking down. And by the time you reach your 40s, 50s, you suddenly realize how much of your health has been stolen. The vitality you should have, the energy you should feel, the peace you should know in your own body, all of it eaten away by what? Years of corrosion. Number 4, the love life delay. Perhaps the most heartbreaking delay of all is the love life delay, because many people go into their 20s believing they found the love of their life in the narcissist. They believe they're building a forever story, but what they're actually building unintentionally is a cage. And the tragedy is, those years when you are supposed to be out there experiencing love, exploring romance, learning about relationships, you spend all of it trying to fix something that was never real to begin with. You waste your best years waiting for someone to change, waiting for someone to see your worth, waiting for love that never comes. By the time you escape, what happens? You realize you never got to have the love life you dreamed of. You never got to experience a safe first kiss, a safe first home together, a safe first child together. All of it was stolen, replaced with drama, chaos, and pain. And that loss hits harder than almost anything else, because you cannot get those years back, can you? You cannot go back to start fresh again. You carry the grief of knowing that while other people were falling in love and learning how to build healthy relationships, you were chained to someone who only knew how to destroy. Number 5, the money and job delay. This one may sound practical, but it is life shattering, because narcissists do not just control your emotions, they control your career, they control your money, they make sure you do not grow financially. Some keep you from working at all, some sabotage your job, some drain your bank accounts, some run up debts in your name, others pretend to provide while making sure you remain dependent. And over years, what this creates is delay after delay after delay in building the life you deserve. While other people your age are buying homes, saving for retirement, building careers, what are you doing? You're just trying to survive from month to month. By the time you hit your 40s or 50s, you look around and realize you're financially years behind. You may have no savings, may have no resume, may have no career stability. And all of this makes you feel trapped even after you leave. This is not just about money, it's about independence, because financial independence is what allows people to live freely, and narcissists know that very well. This is why they keep you dependent, so that even after years you feel like you cannot stand on your own 2 feet. These are the 5 delays narcissists create in your life. You tell me in comments which one of these have you experienced, and let me tell you this, there is hope. Even though there has been delay, there is a unique form of hope for you. You can stop surviving and start thriving for sure, because that is possible. As long as you're breathing, you are nurturing hope, whether you realize it or not. If you want me to help you with your healing journey, join my Thrive After Narcissistic Abuse community program.
Hello, Shoshanim and Shoshanot. Welcome to my bedroom in Paris. Sorry about that. Today we're going to discuss a fascinating concept, grandiosity bubbles, and how do they relate to idealization. My name is Sam Vaknin. I'm the author of Malignant Self-Love, Narcissism Revisited, and a professor of psychology. Now, you all remember, those of you who have been exposed to my videos, you all remember that idealization has several functions. Narcissist shared fantasy. The narcissist love bombs you, having auditioned you, having selected you, having spotted you in all these initial phases, having settled on you as a potential participant in the shared fantasy. The narcissist then love bombs you. The love bombing is not about you, it's about the narcissist. By love bombing you, by verbalizing his idealization, the narcissist convinces himself that you are the ideal partner. So when the narcissist is love bombing you, he's actually love bombing your idealized version in his mind. The narcissist idealizes you in order to fulfill several psychological functions. Number one, co-idealization. By idealizing you, the narcissist is actually idealizing himself. By owning you, by possessing you, the narcissist becomes exalted, elevated, improved, perfect. So it's like owning a flashy car. You know, it's a status symbol. Co-idealization is a very important aspect of idealization, but there are others. There's also baiting. You remember that the concept of hall of mirrors. By idealizing, the narcissist grants you access to your own idealized image, your own idealized version, through his gaze, through his eyes, and you become addicted to it. It's intoxicating. You fall in love with the idealized version of yourself. And this is a bait. This lures you into the shared fantasy. The narcissist maintains a monopoly of this kind of gaze, a monopoly of this kind of access. If you want to see yourself as a perfect being, flawless, drop-dead gorgeous, amazingly intelligent, and so on and so forth, you can do it only via the good services and the channel maintained by the narcissist. So you become addicted to the narcissist and everything he has to offer you, especially his gaze. And this is the hall of mirrors. And it is an integral part of the idealization phase. But there's another function which is much neglected, even in my own work. And that is what I call bubbling. It has to do with grandiosity bubbles. I will try to explain what is a grandiosity bubble. A grandiosity bubble is a fantasy defense against collapse. In other words, a grandiosity bubble is about opting for fantasy, about choosing fantasy 100% of the time, and giving up on reality, renouncing reality, rejecting reality, ignoring, repressing and burying reality 100% of the time. When the narcissist's divorce from reality is complete, when his detachment becomes total, the narcissist finds himself trapped in a bubble of his own making, a grandiosity bubble. It's a bubble of self-enhancement. So there are many types of grandiosity bubbles. Some grandiosity bubbles have to do with adulation. Celebrities, for example, maintain such grandiosity bubbles with fans and admirers and sycophants and so on. There are bubbles which have to do with grievances and commiseration. And all bubbles are echo chambers. In a bubble, the narcissist or the narcissistic person surrounds himself or herself with like-minded people, encourages built-in, hardwired confirmation bias. The narcissist in a grandiosity bubble filters out all information, all stimuli, and all data which challenge the narrative of the grandiosity bubble. So a grandiosity bubble is also a membrane. It's a filter. It keeps out countervailing information which might create ego dystony or dissonance, or information which might wake the narcissist up, force the narcissist to confront his own or her own inadequacy and shame. So the grandiosity bubble, the surface of the bubble is the membrane and the filter, and within the bubble, the narcissist introduces all the people who are willing to participate in and confirm the fantasy, confirm the narrative, uphold it, buttress it, support it, repeat it. Similarly, we may have an intellectual thought silo, group of intellectuals who basically agree on everything, communists or liberals or conservatives. We may have celebrities who are after adulation. We may have people who commiserate and grieve together and Sometimes this leads to aggression, externalized aggression. The incel community comes to mind. And all these situations are actually grandiosity bubbles. They are grandiose because the main aim, the main purpose of the grandiosity bubble is to prevent collapse, to prevent any attempt to dismantle or deconstruct the self-enhancing, counterfactual, self-concept, narrative self-concept. So there's a self-concept, there's a self-image or self-perception. I'm divine, I'm godlike, I'm perfect, I'm hyper-intelligent, I'm amazingly handsome, or whatever the narrative may be.
Get a toy.
This
Get
is
your
the
lamp.
self-concept.
Get your toy.
There are self-enhancing
lamp.
behaviors,
There's a good girl.
which are intended to support
Oh,
this counterfactual, fantastic, inflated self-concept. And in order to prevent challenges from the environment, in order to prevent collapse, in order to prevent a situation of repeated injuries or even narcissistic mortification, the narcissist creates a bubble around this narrative landscape, which anyhow is internalized. The whole thing is happening inside the narcissist's mind. And the role of the bubble is both to support the narrative and to prevent challenges to the narrative coming from the outside. And one of the ways to accomplish this is confirmation bias, filtering out countervailing information, accepting only information that supports the narrative, and surrounding yourself with yes men, like-minded people, people who would tell you that your fantasy is not fantasy, it's actually real. You want examples? Well, many people on cyberspace creates visible, ostentatious, clearly discernible and identifiable grandiosity bubble. Jesus, so-called Christ, created a grandiosity bubble with his disciples, 12 of them, but not much of a following, mind you. He wouldn't have been a success on social media. Freud and his psychoanalytic movement, which was comprised initially of around, I think if I remember correctly, 8 people. Admirers fawning on him, telling him he's always right, and so on and so forth. In other words, all cults are grandiosity bubbles. In grandiosity bubbles have pronounced cultish elements. As one source of narcissistic supply dwindles, the narcissist finds himself trapped in a frantic, though at times unconscious, effort to secure alternatives. As one pathological narcissistic space is rendered uninhabitable, the narcissist wanders off to find another. But to remind you, a pathological narcissistic space is the narcissist's stomping ground. It's a narcissist's haunt. It's where the narcissist goes physically to obtain supply and to groom new sources of supply. This could be a pub, could be a church, could be a workplace, you name it. So sometimes pathological narcissistic spaces get depleted or compromised. They are rendered unusable. Too many people in the pathological narcissistic space begin to see through the narcissist's manipulations and machinations and reject the narcissist. At that point, the narcissist has to move on and to create or find another pathological narcissistic space. In all these situations, the narcissist faces the real threat of narcissistic collapse. Collapse can be brought on by repeated narcissistic injuries, by an inability to secure an uninterrupted flow of narcissistic supply, by narcissistic mortification, by compromise and exposure within a pathological narcissistic space, or by the dwindling of sources of supply. For example, when sources of supply become unreliable, or when they are exposed as manipulative and therefore not real, low grade. In all these situations, the narcissist panics, absolutely panics, and embarks on hysterical endeavors. And these endeavors to find alternatives, to find alternative sources of narcissistic supply, alternative pathological narcissistic spaces. These panicking, hysterical, out of control, frantic, frenetic endeavors sometimes lead to boom-bust cycles. the formation of a grandiosity bubble. A grandiosity bubble is an imagined, self-aggrandizing narrative involving the narcissist and elements from the narcissist's real life, borrowed from his real life, or her real life. People around the narcissist, places he frequents, or conversations he's having. All these can fit into the narrative that is self-aggrandizing and fantastic, which is the grandiosity bubble. The narcissist weaves a story, incorporating elements from his life, incorporating these facts, inflating them in the process, and endowing them with bogus internal meaning and consistency. In other words, the narcissist confabulates. But this time, the narcissist's confabulation is loosely based on reality. In the process of constructing a grandiosity bubble, the narcissist reinvents himself and recreates his life in order to fit the new fangled tale, the new narrative, the new grandiosity bubble. The narcissist recasts himself in newly adopted roles. He suddenly fancies himself, I don't know, an actor, a guru, a political activist, an entrepreneur, an irresistible hunk. The narcissist modifies his behavior to conform to these new functions, these new roles. He gradually morphs and shapeshifts into the fabricated character and becomes the fictitious protagonist that he has just created.
So sad.
All the mechanisms of pathological narcissism are at work during the formation of the grandiosity bubble and what I call the bubble or bubbling phase. The narcissist idealizes the situation, other actors and participants in the fantasy, the environment, the context, you name it. There's global idealization of the whole situation, especially of people involved. The narcissist tries to control and manipulate his milieu into buttressing his false notions and false perceptions and false narratives. Faced with an inevitable grandiosity gap between the narrative, which is fantastic and inflated, and reality, which is harsh and pushing back. This gap is the grandiosity gap. So when he's faced with the grandiosity gap, the narcissist becomes disillusioned and bitter. He then devalues and discards the people, the places, and the circumstances involved in the bubble. That's why grandiosity bubbles are temporary. They're temporary, they are defensive, they are reactive, they are not the same as a shared fantasy. The shared fantasy is a stable structure which is inexorable, and its stages or its phases are ineluctably intertwined. There's no way to reverse the shared fantasy or to undermine it or to change it. But the shared fantasy is one mechanism. Grandiosity bubble is a transient, pseudo, fake or imitative shared fantasy that is intended to isolate the narcissist as the narcissist licks his wounds, recuperates, recovers, and is able to embark on a new shared fantasy with new sources of supply in a new pathological narcissistic space. In the transition phases between one pathological narcissistic space to another, one source of supply to another, one shared fantasy to another, the narcissist creates an isolating protective bubble, protective membrane, within which he resuscitates, within which he can somehow recover his sense of grandiosity and so on and so forth. This is why bubbles are typical reactions to mortification. Still, grandiosity bubbles are not part of the normal narcissistic mini cycle. Bubbles are rare events. Bubbles are like trying on a new outfit for size and comfort. Bubbles fizzle out rapidly and the narcissist reverts to his regular pattern, the shared fantasy, idealizing new sources of supply, devaluing and discounting them, pursuing the next victim to be exploited or leveraged or drained, and so on. Bubbles are protective structures that allow the narcissist to transition from one shared fantasy to the next without experiencing reality in the meantime, in the stage between two fantasies. In order to not experience reality, in order to not endure the pain and hurt of humiliation and rejection, the absence of narcissistic supply, the collapse of the self-concept, in order to not experience all this, the narcissist encases himself in a bubble, and then reinvigorated within the bubble, is able to take on the world and move on to the next fantasy. Actually, the deflation of a grandiosity bubble is met with relief by the narcissist. It does not involve a narcissistic injury. When the bubble is over, there's no injury or mortification. The narcissist views the bubble as merely an experiment at being someone else for a while. It is a safety valve. It allows the narcissist to effectively cope with negative emotions, frustration, hurt, rejection, humiliation, shame. Within the bubble, the narcissist purges himself, is cleansed, it's cathartic, and the narcissist can go back to doing what he does best, projecting a false self, gathering attention from others, constructing a shared fantasy, pathological narcissistic space, and again, riding the delusional wave of an inflated, fantastic, counterfactual, unrealistic self-concept, which to the narcissist appears to be all too real. And all of this incredible sequence of events is taking place within the great playground, the narcissist's mind.
Crazy. Crazy, crazy.
If you scroll down to the description of this video, you will find links to other videos which analyze and decode the secret speech patterns of overt, grandiose narcissists. Now, I know it's a lot to ask to scroll down to the description. It's onerous and so on, but I think you will be rewarded. Today we're going to discuss the secret speech patterns and speech acts and the hidden texts of the covert narcissists. Covert narcissists are not the same as overt grandiose narcissists. A covert narcissist is a collapsed narcissist. It's a narcissist who keeps failing to obtain a regular flow of high-quality narcissistic supply. But it is still a narcissist. It's a narcissist in dire straits, in circumstances which are highly injurious, that cause repeated narcissistic injury or even narcissistic mortification. But the core of the pathology of narcissism remains. For example, the covert narcissist still feels entitled. He still feels unique and special and godlike and omnipotent and omniscient. He still has this inflated, fantastic, grandiose, counterfactual self-concept. The problem with the covert narcissist is the inability to obtain feedback or input from the human environment, which would somehow buttress, sustain, maintain, uphold, and affirm this totally delusional and magical self-concept. Now, collapsed narcissists go through covert phases and then revert to the pure original form of overt grandiose narcissism. But if the failure is persistent, repeated,